Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and in this video we are going to be having another look at yet another one of my Warhammer 40K armies. This is going to be in the same style as the Sororitas video, and that's going to be the style that I will be going with from here on out. So anyway, the army that we will be covering today is one of my personal favorites, even though I say that every time, and that is the Adeptus Mechanicus. I absolutely love the AdMech in 40k. Personally, in terms of actually playing as them, they are fun, but they're not like my favorite faction to play as. But in terms of lore and story in the 40k world, they are probably my favorite faction. So, let's just go ahead and get started. So over here, these are Skitarii Rangers. Skitarii are the ground troops, essentially the main infantry force for the Adeptus Mechanicus. Let me just pick one up so you guys can have a little look. So this is what they look like. They are extremely cybernetically enhanced. Like, you know, they don't have legs, they don't have arms. Everything is mechanical. So they are really, really cool. And as far as infantry goes, they are my second favorite type of infantry. Also, just with my Skitarii, I painted a couple of them yellow just to see what they would look like, and this is how they turned out. So what do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I was listening to the audiobook The Man in Yellow, The King in Yellow, when I was actually painting this army, so I thought that I might as well paint a couple of Skitarii yellow. So there is about 75 to 78 Skitarii Vanguard here. And leading them is the Skitarii Marshal. So he is in charge of squads and regiments of Skitarii. Really cool model. I really like it. He looks very imposing. Kind of reminds me of a Roman centurion. I'm sure that's kind of the point they were going for though, but yeah. Next up over here, so these are the Skitarii Vanguard. Let me give you quickly a little close-up of what they look like. So they have much more of a closed-off helmet with no hood as compared to the Vanguard. Now, the difference between the Skitarii Vanguard and the Skitarii Rangers are, to put it simply, the Rangers are the units you want to use for trying to take an objective, and the Vanguard are the ones you want to use to hold the objective. So having a good balance of each is fairly important. I have about, I would say, 40 Vanguard, which I could do with a few more, but honestly, I think it's okay. But yeah, I really like them, and they're all painted relatively the same color scheme. I forgot to mention both versions of this Skitarii wield a variety of firearms, from your standard las rifle and stuff to more of the Adeptus Mechanicus specific weaponry. Some of them, especially the Rangers, even have access to this massive sniper weapon. Let me show you this here. So this is one of these weapons. So it is massive. The gun almost looks like a musket or a flintlock to me, but it's like longer and taller than the Skitarii, which is so funny. And again, leading my Skitarii Vanguard, I have a Skitarii Marshal. Very similar to how I painted the first one, but there's a slight difference just to differentiate them. Next, we have some Skitarian Infiltrators. Oh, sorry, Sicarian Infiltrators, I apologize. So these guys are really cool. So whereas the Skitarii are standard infantry that have been cybernetically augmented, these guys have way more cybernetic upgrades and augments, and they carry a blade or a melee weapon in one hand and a weapon in the other. I don't know if you can see the legs on them. But yeah, these guys are essentially robots. They're still technically human, but yeah, they have very little human parts left. So these guys I use to run reconnaissance and stuff like that. Pretty cool. I really like them. I just think their model is very good. And leading them, we have our third and final Skitarii Marshal. Now, normally a Skitarii Marshal would not be leading this unit, but I just wanted to kind of place one leader with each of my unit types, like in the last one. And as you can see, or maybe you can't because the lighting is awful, this Skitarii Marshal has a much more purple and gold design, whereas the other two had red designs. Next over here is a unit that is very similar. So these are Sicarian Rust Stalkers. So these guys are, sorry, that is a infiltrator. Let me find one. Here we go. These guys are essentially the same as the infiltrators. However, they forego their firearm in favor of dual blades or dual melee weapons. Sometimes it's a sword, sometimes it's a massive clawed hand, but yeah, these guys are so cool. And in close quarters, these guys are devastating even against targets such as Space Marines. So yeah, quite cool. I really love them. So here is our leader and our first Tech Priest. So this is a Tech Priest Dominus, if I can get him facing around the long way. Unfortunately, his base actually fell off. I dropped him off the table when I was setting up everything for this video. But yeah, I just thought I would show him off anyway. Really cool. The Tech Priests and everything are some of my favorite units in this entire army. And the Dominus is definitely my favorite type of Tech Priest. So that is the first layer done. So next up, these units are so similar to each other that I just thought that I would go ahead and include them in the same pile or group just to kind of save time. So these are the Cataphan Destroyers and Cataphan Breachers. So these are heavy duty, I don't know what the term is. Cyborgs technically is true, but isn't really helpful as this entire army is cyborgs. They are essentially people on treads who have nothing left except for their head, and they have these massive plasma cannons on their shoulders, so they are great for dealing heavy damage or destroying terrain or anything that is blocking your path. Very cool unit in my opinion. At first I actually did not like these guys and did not plan on buying them, but then I bought one and I fell in love with them. And as for who is commanding these, we have our first Tech Priest Manipulus. So as you can see, these guys are different from the Dominus. They are a bit more rounder. It's not that they are fat, it is just that they have different types of implants and stuff. So it makes them look a lot rounder, but don't let that fool you. They are just as much machine, if not more so, than the Dominus. Really, really cool. And we also have our first, if I can pick him up, our first Engine Seer. So Engine Seers are technically tech priests, but what they do is they repair vehicles and any other kind of tech unit. So having these in an Adeptus Mechanicus army is very handy. However, you are actually able to use these guys in most other Imperium armies. So if you are doing something like a guard army, which I have, and you say have a couple of tanks, and you want to make sure that the tank stays alive, you could keep this guy next to the tank and move them forward together so that the seer can repair your tank. And same goes for essentially all of these units here. Also, just before we continue, again, I want to say this, and I know I said it in the first video, the Sororitas one. So I painted all of these units myself. However, I did not paint the bases. So I do not want to take credit for the bases. I just bought them off of Etsy or eBay or something like that, but mainly Etsy. So while I did paint everything here, I did not do the bases, so I just wanted to get that out of the way because I'm terrified of someone thinking that I am taking credit from someone else's work. So here we have some really, really cool units. These are Castellan Robots. Let me pick one of them up. So these are massive robots. They each have two kind of Gatling guns on their hands as well as another gun on their shoulder. Let me pick up another one so you can see if there's one that's a little bit different. You know, and then one like this, you know, where I gave him a flamer on the top, and as you can see, the magazine going into his arm. So these guys are fully automatons. There is no human part to these. They are incredibly powerful and have now been labeled as a monster unit. And what's actually really cool is when they die, if you roll a 6, they explode, and any enemies that are in the blast zone take a lot of damage. So leading them, I have a Engine Seer, if I can focus. This one is painted. I just decided to try and make it a little bit of a darker scheme. I try and make all of my tech priests and Engine Seers slightly different, just so they don't all look like clones. As well as a cybernetic data smith. Now, this guy is extremely useful and borderline necessary for running Castellan Robots. Having him with them gives the robot a massive buff. I'm not sure on the exact details of the buff, but if you are running Castellan Robots, make sure that you also run one of these. And luckily, when you buy Castellan Robots, these are included in them, just so you don't have to worry. So, just before we move on, let's talk about our vehicles. So while not a vehicle, we will just cover him while we were going from left to right. So first off is my Belsarius Call. So Call is essentially the leader, or one of the main leaders, alongside the Fabricator General in Warhammer 40k. But in terms of models go, he is the leader. He is extremely powerful. He has so many tech upgrades that it is actually kind of scary. And yeah, really cool unit. In my opinion, every single AdMech army needs at least one of him. The only issue is that he is an absolute pain to paint. Personally, I really enjoy painting. I think it's my favorite part of the hobby. But if you do not enjoy painting, Carl will make you pull your hair out because there are so many fine little bits. Next up, we have an incinerator. Really cool. So this is my first and only actual vehicle for the Mechanicus. So as you can see, it has its turret on the top, as well as this other smaller turret, a ladder going up the side, and we have what looks to be a Skitarii Ranger kind of poking his head out of the hatch. So yeah, very cool. Next, we have two of the same vehicle unit, and probably the most powerful and most important of this faction. And that is the Dune Crawlers. So the Dune Crawlers are the Mechanicus's main battle tank. They are these quadruped units that kind of march along the sands of Mars. And yeah, they come with an array of different weapons. This one has its main cannon on the front, as well as another smaller gun on the top here. What is cool about these is that you are able to customize which weapons you actually want on them. So I painted this one in a black and red color scheme, mainly black with red accents, and I think it turned out pretty well. And for the other Dune Crawler, I just decided to paint this one full on red. So again, we have the quadruped legs, we have our cannon, we have our other kind of weapon up at the top here, as well as a bunch of antennae and stuff for, I'm assuming, listening in. As also, there is a hatch on the back. I'm assuming this is for the Skitarii inside to quickly escape if needs be, which is such a little cool detail. So continuing over to our right, we have 4 of the Fulgurite Electro Priests. I do hope I pronounced that correctly. And these guys are really cool. So these are essentially monks of the Adeptus Mechanicus. However, despite being monks, they are still actually human, or fairly human. I'm sure they have some upgrades. So they have this really cool blue skin. I really like it. And they have these massive staves. So they are priests and monks. However, they are more of warrior monks compared to their other counterpart, which I cannot remember the name of. But yeah, they use these staves and clubs in battle, which is pretty cool, as well as giving buffs to nearby allies. So where did we leave off? So moving over here. So next up we have again 2 units which are very similar. we have Cerberus Sulfur Hounds and Cerberus Raiders. So these units do hit and run attacks, and they ride these oh sorry, that is the tech priest, I apologize. So they ride these biologically enhanced mechanical hounds. So they are not full robot hounds, but they are cyborg hounds. And they do slightly different things. One, I believe, focuses more on melee combat, like this guy here who has a sword, whereas the other focuses on long-range combat from dogback with a rifle. And then leading these guys, we have yet another tech priest, Dominus. I'm mainly just using these just because I want to include the leader type enemies. But normally I wouldn't include a tech priest with every single one of my squads, as well as a data smith. Again, no reason why he's here. I would never use him with the Cerberus units, but I just wanted to include him. So, moving on. So, next up, we have some Protaxi sterilizers, and I apologize, I have about 6 more of them. However, they were not in the storage case when I was getting everything ready to record, and I do not know where they are. So we just have to make do with what we have, and even still, some of them are not on their bases. But what are these units? So, these are flying AdMech units with flamethrowers. Thus the name sterilizer. So they fly up above you and proceed to light you on fire. Really, really good. As far as flying units go, I'm not the biggest fan of flying units in Warhammer, but these are definitely some of the better ones. The other Protaxi units for the Mechanicus are not that good, just because they have standard weapons. Here is a much better picture to show, so you can see the Protaxi, who just looks like a Skitarii with wings, along with his massive flamethrower. So, yeah. Let's move on. We are actually almost done. I'm surprised at how quickly we are making our way through this. So, next up, we actually have my favorite unit in my entire AdMech army and the AdMech in general, and that is the Sidonian Dragons. I believe I'm saying that correctly. If not, I genuinely apologize. So these guys are snipers, but they are huge. Like, look how tall this guy is. Let me see if I can focus on him. But yeah, so he has gone beyond and beyond augmentation wise. I'm not sure how tall they are in the lore. I'm pretty sure they're like 10 feet tall or something like that. But you can see that he has a massive sniper rifle with a huge scope, a bunch of radar equipment on his back, and yeah, these guys to me are just so cool. I really like everything about them. I like their weapon, I like their height, I like how unique they are to everything. And for picking off important targets in the enemy army, these guys are very adept at it. Since they are so tall, they're able to, you know, just look over cover because of how tall they are, and instantly blast your opponent. So, next up, we are moving on to the final part of the video. So, next up, we have Iron Striders. So these are a type of vehicle, I guess anyway, I'll pick one up and show you guys in a second. I'll use this one. So these guys are on these bipedal mechs. Let me actually get a good grip on it. These guys are on these bipedal mechs, and a Skitarii Ranger is on top on the pilot. Now the Iron Strider is equipped with a dual chain gun. So what the whole point of these Strider units are is they chase down enemies and essentially gun them down. So these guys are really good at closing the distance in game between you and the enemy and finishing them off. And also, it would not be a Warhammer video without showcasing some body horror. You can see, I think, that there is actually a man there who is essentially grafted on to the bottom half of the Strider. So he's in some way controlling the Strider as well. But by the look on his face, I do not believe it is by will. So we have this one here, which I just did in a standard red. Then we have this one. This one, again, did a little bit differently. I did with black, with a couple bits of blue and a couple bits of red. The Skitarii in the gunner seat is all in red, as always. Really, really cool. But for me, I prefer the look of the first one. And you might be asking, if I preferred the first one, why did I paint it like this? It's just for variety. It's just so this is just something about me. I don't like having all my units look identical. I like having them just to be slightly varied. And our last Iron Strider is this guy here. So this is a mixture of gray and very, very dark brown, or dark red or brown. So again, you can see that we have our Ranger on the gunner, and yeah, I've said everything there is to say about these guys, so yeah, let us move on. And as for who is in charge of them, or who I have in charge of them, we just have an engine seer, as these units are exactly the type of units that the engine seer is meant to be used for. As well as another techno archaeologist. So quite cool. And yeah, so let us move on to the final unit. So the final unit in this video is the Sidonian Dragoon, and these are my second favorite unit. The Scatoros units are my favorite, but these are a very, very close second. So these units also have the same bipedal mechs that the Iron Striders have. However, there is quite a good bit of difference between the two. So these guys, instead of having a dual Gatling gun, they are equipped with a massive sniper rifle. So whereas the Iron Strider is designed to wreak havoc and cause chaos amongst fleeing foes. Can you guys tell I'm recording this at like 4 a.m. with no sleep? These guys, however, have their rifles, and they just pick off the enemies from a distance, which is so cool. Having someone snipe on or while using this mech, really, really cool idea. Whoever came up with this is actually a genius. I really like it. And again, you can see the little man in there, not having a good time whatsoever. So let me just show you the other ones that I have. So we have this one, which has a bit more tan to it, as well as I did his weapon to kind of have this silvery blue look to it. No real reason, I just wanted it to stand out. I think it looks really good though, but yeah. And lastly, our final dragoon is this one. So again, this one is painted in mostly black. I have a bit of a confession. I messed up when assembling this one. So he is wielding his sniper, so this technically is a dragoon, but I accidentally equipped him with a pistol as well. So I'm not sure if I can actually use both in the game. If so, that would be amazing. But yeah, I think it is really, really cool. And you guys are going to start noticing a trend as we dive into more and more of my armies, that I tend to buy units that I like, or high-powered units in pairs of 3. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, I know this is not an art book, but I just love 40k. I love painting, I love collecting, and while I have a platform, I want to share it with you guys. So, again, thank you so much for watching. I just want to give a quick shout out to my 2 Patreons. So shout out Slice of Life for Life, and shout out Mary the Otaku. Your patronage means the world to me, and to everyone else, your viewership means the world to me. So if you are listening to this video, trying to relax or go to sleep, this is the end of the video, so I would click off it now. Anyway guys, thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good evening.